Hello everyone, welcome back. So I'll again start with Flask, and today's our motto is to complete a to-do application, right? So have it already ready. So as I have told you in previous class, so for creating a Flask application, first we need to create two folders. One is templates and another one is static. And irrespective of these two folders, we need to create another file which is app.py. So here I'll again brief the whole code. So we use the Flask library, and from Flask we have imported Flask render template, request, redirect, and URL. So we imported Flask just because we call it here, like it is the main heart of Flask. So we are using Flask and render template to display the templates of HTML. Like here we store HTML, right? Index.html, edit.html. To connect the backend to frontend, we use a render template. So it renders whatever the HTML files contain. It shows the same thing in the backend also. So to run the HTML, basically we go like we click on the go live, right? So to execute the same HTML from Python, we use render template. So whenever we click on the root, it takes us to the HTML file. So what is request? A request is basically used in databases where you request the database to store the values, like whatever the user gives, you request the database to store in respective fields, respective columns. And redirect, what redirect and URL for are, they both are meant to navigate between the pages smoothly. So we may have pages, right? Home page, in about page, contact page. So to navigate between those all pages, we use this both redirect and URL for. So we used SQLAlchemy, which is the inbuilt database provided by Flask itself. So we have imported SQLAlchemy. We use this library. Previously we have installed it, right? We use this library and we imported SQLAlchemy. And datetime also, if you want to use datetime, you should import the datetime module. And then I initialize the Flask app. Then we need to configure, like we are not dealing with external database, right? We are dealing with the internal ones. So we haven't yet created the database, so we need to name it, and then using some commands we'll create the database. So we need to configure two things. One thing will be the database and another thing will be the modifications, like if there are any exceptions which we might expect, so it nullifies everything and returns the value which we expect. Like if we don't use this, no, it might show few warnings, but still the program gets executed, like the application gets executed. So here db is equal to SQLAlchemy app. What it does is, previously using render template we connected front end to back end, but we also have another component which is database. So using this statement, we are connecting our back end to the database. So here the to do is a three-tier application, which means front end, back end, and a database. So one tier is front end, another is back end, and the last one is database. This is a three-tier application. Here we use render template to connect front end and back end, and to connect back end and database we use the inbuilt function which is SQLAlchemy, and give our backend function name, like backend variable, which is the main one. So here, as we do manually in like we do it right in MySQL, so in the same way I created a schema. Have created a schema, but for this the syntax is, we use a class and we define model. We define a model. So using the same db variable, I call the db variable and model. So inside that I created 4 columns. So in the 4 columns we'll give only these two as inputs and the remaining two are dynamically given. So here id is uh, the identity of the row. I'll explain it more clearly during the execution thing. Like we'll get to know more better versions of how we can why should we use id. So id is a primary key. Id is a primary key because it keeps on changing. We can't take same IDs because if I want we can take phone number as an example for primary key. Both phone numbers should not be same, like any two phone numbers should not be same, otherwise it is not a primary key. Names can be same but phone numbers can't be same. In the same way id also keeps on incrementing, so it is an assignment which does not contain any duplications. So here title is a title we give to our to-do application, like work, complete assignments today is the description and work is the title name, and date created. So it also takes dynamically. We are in India, right? So it is not of India but it is of US time zone. It takes the time of US. So here we are using the module which we have imported, datetime.utc now. So what is db.integer, db.string, db.text? It means we are calling the database and asking it the data type which we are storing inside the table. It should be this, and task is the name of the table. Task is the name of the table. I'll show it now. Table info. See, the name of the table is task, task. So whatever we create, that will be the name of the table. And this statement is very much mandatory because the database should be within the scope of this program. Like external people shouldn't use this database, so it should be within the scope of this program. So if someone takes it as a library and tries to use it, it doesn't work because we gave this to the scope of this program only. So db create all statement creates the database and pushes the table into the database. Like it creates this database and pushes whatever we give here. This schema will be pushed into the database. So is it clear until here?
Yes, sir.
So this is the basic setup we do for any kind of application, any kind of Flask application when we are connecting with SQLAlchemy database. But when we try to create, when we try to connect with MySQL database, which has another server, we might not use this. The syntax might be similar but not the same because it changes from database to database. I have taken SQLAlchemy just because it is inbuilt and easy to use. I might also discuss using MySQL also, but for simplicity I am just using the inbuilt database which it has provided, as it is also a simple application, right? We need not use a bigger database. So here we created a root. We create root using the app name which we provide over here. We gave the name of the Flask application as app, right, which is app. So we call it using an string and at the rate app.root. What root we need to specify. So this empty slash, which means it is a default root. Whenever we run the program, it searches for this and goes to it directly. So if I deploy it somewhere in the Google, and if I name it as taskveda.com, if I click on taskveda, it will redirect to direct this slash root. So whatever it has, it displays the same. So firstly I'll discuss all the roots. I created a slash root which is a default root, an empty root, it is an empty root and a default root. I created an add root, which means in this index we are submitting a form, right? A form of title and description and a submit. So what should it do? It should perform an action, right? So here we gave it as slash add. What it should do exactly we'll discuss here. Here we are elaborating the root which is add, and the method is post. Why did I take the method as post? Because I am taking the input dynamically from user. Here the user will enter the input, right? the input should be stored into the database dynamically. I am not hard coding it. So whatever the user gives, it is considered as a post request. Here I took post. When I took post here, I should also take post in my app.py. So I took the method post here. In the previous class, I guess you have seen, when I didn't give post here, it said URL not found. Because whenever a user gives an input dynamically, it considers it as a post request, and if I don't specify the post request over here, it shows an exception or error. So what I did here, I took the input from user, which means using the syntax. The syntaxes may be confusing, but you need to just understand the motto behind it. Why are we using it? Why should we use it? If you know why to use it, you can directly recollect it. If you experiment doing it and still get errors, you can still understand why you get errors and what you need to use. So I declared a variable, like I'll discuss all the roots. So additionally, I also added a delete root and edit root and update root. So total I have created 5 roots, but here we only have 2 files, right? I'll explain why we have created 5 different roots. So here what add root does, this add method, this add root, what it does is, we use it here, right? Whenever the user submits, it should do something. What it will do? What will it do? So it will take the input from user, request.form. It is the function we use. We request the input from the title, the form. The form is rendered from our HTML page, right? So this is the function we use to take it from HTML. So why it is title? Because in the previous class we got an error, right? Like the code didn't work properly. We gave ID and class as well, but we didn't specify name. Specifying name is must-end when we are using front-end and back-end. So in front-end, specifying name is must-end because we have a back-end. So if you don't have a back-end, name is optional because it is a key attribute of back-end. You need to use name is equal to title. Whatever we give over there, we need to use it same. Both should match. Otherwise, it shows an error. And here I use description. See, the name is description, and here also I wrote description. Both should match, otherwise it throws an error. So these two things I'm taking from the user, and I'll use a condition. If title exists, if title is valid, then a new task should be pushed, or a new column should be pushed into the database. So how to specify that? How to give that? Task is the name of the table, right? Task is the name of the table. I called table, and what I gave as inputs, the title and the description. So what is title? Here the title is taken from the user and description is also taken from the user. So those two variables only I gave over here. Title equal to title and description equal to description. I can't directly give description and leave it because it shows an error. So I need to specify you. So I need to specify, right? The title is title and description is description. I can't directly call the variables. So DB, which is this one, the main factor which connects backend and database, we call DB again here. DB session add new task. Why new task? What is new task? New task is this variable. We can also name as we like. So whatever you name here, you should name the same here because you are using the same, right? DB session dot add new task means this new task will be a new row in the database, and that is solely not enough. We should also run this command. We should also give this command, which means after addition it should acknowledge, right? I have added a row. So db.session.commit. We need to use this commit command because it needs an acknowledgement, like I have added a row. It might not show us, but it is a communication medium from backend to database. So after pushing a row into the database, what should it do? It should return to the main page. It should return the home page, which is index.html. I haven't written HTML here, but how it works you might ask. So URL for need not have input.html as input. Here we are using the function as input. It searches for this function everywhere. So what if I give the function index here? It throws an error. Definitely it's not showing an error, but during the execution it shows index function is repeated twice. So we need to make it separate. Like if we have used it somewhere, we should not repeat it again. So until here our first class, we recapped the first class, and here comes the extra two features, which is delete task and edit task. So in to do, after the completion of a task, after completing a task, we want to delete a task. So what should we do? Firstly, I'll run without these. Okay. We run this and show. Oh, cool. Okay. I think I opened two terminals, which is resulting in an error. So this is my exact one. I'll run it again. Okay, okay. Okay, okay. I removed that, right? I think I should remove it from somewhere also. What's the error? Let me look it again. Could not build endpoint for edit task. Here in my HTML, I gave edit task. I'll remove it and I'll try to show it again. Perfect. So I don't have any actions over here. It doesn't show anything. I'll add run 500 meters. Add task. So perfect. As you can see, the task is added. Even the time zone is not ours. The time zone, it takes the US time zone, but it's fine. It's completely fine. You can have a note of the dates created. So you can see it's working fine. It's working fine. I can add another task. Task name. I'll give title, some title. Water. So this is how you do basically. If you are using if you are a to-do user, you do the same way, right? So but to customize as we need few actions. If I gave a spelling mistake here and it doesn't look nice, so what should I do? I should update it. Or if this homework is done, I want to delete it. How to do it? I need to implement two buttons over here. Let's try that out. I'll explain the same thing again over here also. Let me explain the roots first. So what delete does? So we gave a root as delete. But what is this extra part? Here we didn't give any extra part, right? Except this method, because we are taking the input from a form which is HTML file. So we gave here. Here we didn't give anything extra. But why this extra? So here ID comes into picture. It doesn't show any ID here, but water has ID 1. No, homework has ID 1. Running has ID 2, water has ID 3. I'll show it in database. See, homework has ID 1. I'll refresh it. Running has ID 2 and water has ID 3. It deleted based on that only. I'll show it here. So here we have int ID, right? We are taking ID also dynamically. Here we specified ID here, but if we don't give ID here, what happens? If we don't take ID here, what happens? It
Yes,
may
sir.
result in an error. Yes. Any questions? So here we are taking ID and the root also takes an ID. If I give delete, no, it won't work still. See, I'll refresh it. I'll have the buttons, but if I specify delete, what it does? No URL found. But what if I give delete 1 or wait, what's the root exactly? Yeah, delete 1. See, I should do it directly from the UI, but I have done differently. Got an unexpected keyword ID. Okay, but still it gets deleted. Yes. No. Okay. But you can see over here, right, at the bottom, delete /3. If we do it, no, it won't directly get deleted. So due to security concerns, because it's using sessions, one cannot go directly and delete it over here. If he is a valid user only, it happens. Okay, even this is not working. That's fine. Delete task got an unexpected keyword argument ID. Okay. So basically, to your understanding, I'll say that. Uh, so we are taking an ID here. So this delete function should also, it should select an ID before deleting. It should select an ID. So to select an ID, I'll declare a variable task equal to task dot query dot get ID. What is task? Task is name of the uh, table. So task dot query dot get ID. So first it should get an ID. So if the ID is valid, then the session will delete the task. If the ID is not valid, it shows an error as it have shown previously. So here also we took db.session.commit, which means after the deletion it should give an acknowledgement. Even if it is not visible for us, it is done at backend. Here to add we use the keyword add, but to delete here we are using the keyword delete. And what is the parameter over here? Which is the ID. Basically it's the ID. We are deleting the ID. But what is the parameter over here? If we try to compare, here the parameter is adding a new row. Here the parameter is we can't delete a new row using the values, right? So we use we use ID over here. So this is edit task, edit page. I mean, I'll show it here. If I want to edit this, if I want to add 6 update, so it got updated, right? So what it exactly does? Edit task basically does nothing except showing whatever it has. So task query get ID, same like delete function, only it used task dot query dot get ID. But what did it return? It returned whatever it contains. See the ID 3, it contains water and 6 liters. So it showed the same thing, water and 6 liters. It showed the same thing, but here the hero is update function. I'll show edit here, you'll get a better view. So what edit does? Here, as we have discussed previously, input is this one. Input is this box. In that box we can write anything we need. We can write soda, we can write anything we need. So we can customize it. Like basically if you give an input, you'll get a box. In that you can write anything, but here I can write anything, but default value should be whatever it is in the database. So here what is the value? A value shows whatever it had previously. In edit, if I click edit here, for this row, what I would expect it should have the previous words here. So by mistake I gave 6, I should give 5. So I can click on this. If I don't find this here, I think like what we think, the data is lost, right? So in order to prevent that mistake, we use this one here. What is default we print over here, task.title and task.description. So what is this? Here edit is a simple thing we understood. So whatever exists in the database, we are printing the same thing over here. So update task, we are using the new root update. Why should we use it? Okay, we changed whatever we wanted to change, right? We changed from 5 liters to 6 liters, but that should be saved in the database. How to update it? Again we got the ID. So if the ID is valid, then if we edited the task, again we need to update the task. If we edited the description, if we edited the title, again we need to update the title. See, previously it had 5 liters, so we are giving a new value, it is updating the value. In SQL we'll have a syntax: update table name and where value equal to something. But here there is nothing much big syntax. So whatever it has, it again use the same thing. See here, it used the thing, it used a line. Here also it used the same line, nothing different. And session.commit, it will just replace the values which are default with whatever we give. So this is the end line, this is the last line, and it should be mandatory because here we initialized, right? So if the function is a main function, only then it will execute, only then app will run, app.run. If I remove this and try to run, let me see whether it works. Okay, see, it stopped, it won't work. It won't work because it is the main thing. We need this because if name is main, like what we have initialized previously, if it matches with the main function, only then it should get executed. And I have told previously, right, we can also change the port. Previously my port is 5000, now I'll change it to 8000. So if I run on 5000, it doesn't work. See, previously it was 5000, but now it is 8000. I'll show it. Previously it was 5000, where is it? Okay, it was somewhere. Yes, previously it was 5000, but now it changed it to 8000. In that way we can change a port number as we like. We can change it to 100,000, but ensure it doesn't conflict with the port numbers which are already existing. For mail we will have a port number 22, and for HTTP we'll have port number 80. For HTTPS we'll have port number 443. We should ensure that it doesn't make a conflict with the port numbers which are already existing. I'll try it out. Let's see. Will it work? Yeah, it's working, but we shouldn't try it in our local environment. But it doesn't show anything over here. Previously it showed, but here it doesn't show anything over here because it is default HTTP. It is not HTTPS because this connection to this site is not secure. HTTPS means hypertext transfer protocol with security. Here it doesn't have any security, so it is valid, it is completely valid. So if it, let's make an experiment by taking 443, see if it works. It might work locally, but we can't say anything. So what's the port? Yeah, it might work locally, but whenever we are deploying it, whenever it is live on Google, it might not work because the port conflict it won't support. Here it is working on local environment. If even if I turn off Wi-Fi also it works, but the Bootstrap will go, that's it. So now I'll explain the HTML part again. I haven't yet covered it. See, basically I dragged and dropped the same thing from my Bootstrap, and nothing much to change also, except whatever you have the names you need to just change and leave, and nothing more. But the main game starts here. Okay, you created a table, you had a table header, but in table body the value should be dynamically stored and dynamically displayed. So for that, what you'll do, so what the action is performing over here, this is the default file, right? See, this is the default root. In default root, what we are doing, we had task variable, tasks variable. In the tasks variable, what we are doing, we are querying like whatever we have in the database. I want all. I want everything which is in the database, and the order should be of date. See here, as you can see, like I have created everything today only, but according to time it got arranged. So that's what I wanted to specify. Task dot date created dot desk describe, which is desk means describe, and why I gave all, because I need all the rows. So task dot query, like the previous ones only, task dot query, but I need another functionality, order by date created, and I need uh, every row. I need every row, all the rows which are in the database, all rows which are in the database, I need them. So that's the reason I use this. So I have tasks, right? As previously we have discussed the for loop, I can give anything over here. I can give for I in tasks, but tasks should be the same name over there for task in tasks. So I took a variable as task. So it should loop through everything in tasks. So what all are existing, it should loop through everything. But I don't need all in a single statement. So I'm printing in a different statements. So in a table description, I'm using this task and I want to print title. So title is an attribute of this data on this table, right? So I call title and I'm using it. So why I have you given for loop? Because how many rows it exists, even if I give 100 rows, it should print all the 100 rows and stop. After printing all the 100 rows, it should stop. So for everything to iterate all the rows, all the existing rows, I gave the for loop. So here task dot description, it prints all the descriptions, and task dot created. Okay, it may print in all format, so that's the reason I have specified it in a table. A table gives a perfect view. It gives a better view, right? Water, running, homework, and exactly how we gave it, it is giving. Okay, I'll rerun it again. So what we took the port, we'll take the default port instead of missing things. Okay, let me try to edit it. It work? Okay, it's working. Change it. So can anyone explain what is it doing exactly? Like you can tell how much you understood. Can anyone take the initiative? Like tell me up to how much you understood, or should I make the thing more clearly? Or if you have any doubt also, you can ask me.
So, sir, basically we made a to-do list,
Okay.
and in which there are basically five indexes,
Okay.
which is title, description, edit, delete, and update.
Yeah, perfect. We all have these five roots.
Yes, five routes.
Yes, yes.
And the data also gets stored in todo.db.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly. Perfect. So, hope everyone got the understanding right. I haven't created the HTML from scratch. I use the components which Bootstrap provided. The table, the form, everything I used from Bootstrap only. Instead of coding everything from scratch, I used from Bootstrap to make the things very easy. So if you want a class on HTML or Bootstrap, you can let me know. So is it clear up till now?
Yes, sir, it's clear.
So in future if needed, we may also make, like I'll show it here only. We'll add another column over here, and what we can also show the progress of work, like how much it is done, the percentage of work. And also we can create sessions like login and registers also. So it is a basic which we haven't covered. We'll cover it in the next class. Register and login routes in the same application. We'll try to implement register and a login. So whenever we want to access to do, we'll have our own to do. Like all the people may not use the same to do, right? I have custom to do, and you also have a customized to do. So it will greet me with my name. Hello Karthik, this is your to do and what's for the day. So if you want a similar one, you can also register and you can also log in. Like we'll discuss registration and login along with how it works tomorrow, and we'll implement it in to-do list. So now you can see delete is also working. So previously it was due to the root conflict, it didn't work, but now it's working fine. You might get it out if it is getting deleted over here or not. Oh, it still exists. I'll refresh it. See, it got deleted here also. This is not so dynamic database, but for simple applications you can use it. For complex big applications like e-commerce site, you shouldn't use this because it can't handle huge load. You might switch to MySQL for better cases. Like for basic cases we can use this because you have seen, right, it's very flexible. So I think everything is clear. So if you have any suggestions, like what can we do next, you can please tell me. Like I'm open to any suggestions. Is it fine, or I can improve a bit more?
So it's fine, sir.
Okay,
And so kindly share the code in the group.
sure, sure. I'll also share the screen recording. I'll upload it on YouTube and I'll share it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, thank you all. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank
Have
you,
a great
sir.
day. And tomorrow is a holiday for the class.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Happy Mahashivratri advance.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.